Hello everyone and welcome to the 2019 Minnesota Amateur Championships presented by Everyday Disc Golf. This PDGA amateur-only A-tier is ready to conclude in a wet and rainy Kaposia Park. Here's our players.
Hey, I'm Rowdy Rodlund. I'm been playing disc golf for 11 years now. Sitting in first place, tied for the lead with Lundquist. Excited to get at it.
That excitement tells me why they named him Rowdy. A little slip on the tee here to get opened up. A little bit of rain coming.
Hi, I'm Lundquist. I'm tied for first, and shout out to Kaposia Productions and to Terry Miller for doing an awesome job this week.
Don't get too far ahead of yourself, Chris. The video's not done yet, my friend. In all seriousness, thanks for the shout out, and awesome to see him in front of the camera instead of behind or working the extras.
Edwin Hultgren, 47 for 17. Just like to shout out to my family and friends.
Edwin ready to go here. He shot 6 under in the opening round. There were 3 6 under, and there were 2 7 unders in our leaders.
Hi, I'm Matt Friedman, PDGA 55726. Currently tied for third, sitting one back from the leader. And I'd like to give a shout out to Tom Marcus and my sponsor, Everyday Disc Golf.
I will echo that. Thanks to Tom Marcus for making the event and the coverage here happen this weekend. Excited to watch 27 holes in the rain.
Hi there, my name is Taylor Haney, one stroke back from the lead today. Shout out to University of Minnesota Disc Golf Club and Terry Miller for doing an awesome job with coverage.
Thank you, Taylor. You're not supposed to be this excited to play in the rain, though. Just a little tip. All right, now Rowdy looking to get up and down and just secure the par here on hole 1. We'd love to get off to this hole and the start of the round with a birdie, but as you guys can see, the conditions not exactly ideal. I'm going to let both the conditions and the play do most of the commentating here for us today, so you guys can sit back and enjoy. Ed's lucky that sat down. There is a pretty steep roll away behind there on that hillside. That's exactly where we find Taylor. And Taylor had gone deep, and so we put it right up next to the pin. Rowdy leaving himself a little work to do. You got to wonder if there's some nerves on the opening hole. He's tied for the lead going into this final round. I sense no nerves whatsoever there. Great putt. Also able to save the par, and that's what we're looking at for the rest of the group here. I believe everyone's got some tap-ins. See how the weather maintains. I believe it was a pretty wet and nasty Saturday for them when they played 27 holes the day before. Exact same course and layout. And to say the conditions are less than ideal, I think would be appropriate. Umbrella wants to get out of this mess. Thank you to Johnny Rumble, a huge Patreon supporter. Ed's carries to the left. This is a pretty straightforward shot. In fact, being just 5 feet shorter than the previous hole, I feel actually like if you throw a similar shot, you should be on the putting green. This one doesn't play quite as downhill, but pretty much a straight shot that has just a little finish to it should put you up there, as Ed's done. pulled right, but does it have enough skip to it? And also puts him up there for a putt. This hole almost parallels the previous hole, hole number 1, so it's going right back toward the parking lot. You can see the tee of 3 just off in the distance. That is not an extra audio track. That is some legitimate wind out here blowing around. As if the cold temps and the rain aren't enough, then we're going to add in some 15 to 25 mile an hour winds as well. Great birdie there for Chris. Matt answers with a birdie of his own. A couple guys on the board here in the early goings. Taylor will round out the set. Whoa. Did you see that ninja move? As they clear out, we're going to move over to hole number 3. Huge shout out to the Bell family, huge disc golf family, and also enormous supporters via Patreon. Thank you guys so much. Looking forward to seeing you around the rest of the country, setting records. Chris with the forehand that's pushing left side just about pin high. You notice all 3 of these opening holes are almost the exact same distance, 280, 275, 280, but this one of course playing uphill, getting stopped by one of the rocks. That also pushes out to that left side. The wind definitely holding up as you hear it ripping through. Multiple attempts to shield the wind. There is actually a wind guard on my microphone, and it's still making that much noise. So that gives you some idea of what it's really doing out there as Rowdy gives it a run. There's a number of elements these guys are going to have to contend with today. Not only the wind and the rain and the cold, but then also just maintaining a mental focus over 27 holes in these long conditions. You're talking probably a 5-hour round or more. And then there's that. That'll speed things up a little bit. Chris with a huge birdie putt. That's back-to-back birdies, and he's extended his lead to 2 now. That's not able to convert. Great birdie by Matt. That should push him to 1 under. He's going to be within 1 of Chris, and now, yeah, momentarily at least, has second place all to himself. And Rowdy, yeah, not following through enough. I'll come back to bite him. Can't miss those short ones. Taylor smacks him and says, "Get your together." Okay, maybe it was a little more friendly than that as Taylor taps in, and Rowdy with a lone bogey we've seen here in the early goings of the round. I'm going to move on to 4, Dan Harbeck, a huge Patreon supporter. In fact, if you're wondering why I say that, all of the Patreon supporters you're going to see throughout this video have actually been my highest contributing supporters. So this is really just a shout out to everyone from my incredible Patreon network. You guys are amazing, and videos just simply wouldn't happen if I didn't have support from Patreon and other supporters and sponsors of various tournaments and events. So Dan, thanks for all the love and support throughout all the years. I've known him for more than 20 years. I'm seeing some tee shots now. I'm up about 3/4 up the fairway. If I pan to the right, which I neglected to do there, that's where the basket is. And this one comes in at 360, slightly uphill. And right on the fringe is where we're going to see Rowdy's shot. Matt's got a little work to do. That's a really good recovery, so that puts him up there looking at a par save. Wait, maybe only Chris can have par saves. I'm not sure how that works. Either way, huge shout out, Par Save Productions. Love the work that they've been doing. Just tremendous graphics and video work. I know they've been out there hustling around the country, and nothing but love and respect for those guys as well. Now Chris will have a par save opportunity here in a moment, as that's where he's put his approach shot. Just deep of the pin. What always looms as you see the group behind Rowdy there, that is hole number 5, which is an incredibly challenging par 4. No matter how much time you give them, there's more than likely some kind of backup, and Chris not able to drag that one in. And hole 5 is just a monster to play as a par 3, and there's really no hurry to get over there because you're probably just going to be waiting. It's up and down. So Matt seems to be in control here, playing pretty well. He's momentarily now tied with the Chris for the lead. The rest of the group are going to take their pars. And we'll go wait for a few minutes. Well, I won't make you wait, but we're going to move over to hole 5. Thank you, Dr. Charlie. That is a really good looking shot. If you go another 100 feet maybe past that, that's exactly where the pin is. So you have to get through this initial gap. And you really would like for it to land flat because it slopes off to the right. And if it doesn't get too much movement, that might not be a bad spot. Turn there by Ed. There's some work to do on that right side. Rowdy opts for the high left side, and that's going to be a little bit of trouble. And that's going to be a lot of trouble. I hope Chris didn't plan this, but him wearing the blue pants that really stand out actually helped quite a bit in being able to see these off fairway shots. So that's Chris's second. Here's Chris's third shot, just trying to get back up to the fairway. We'll call that fairway's edge. We'll keep optimistic here. That may have just slipped right out of his hands. That looked like it was heading early and left right out of his hands. That's not that good of a shot, unfortunately. And Rowdy from that high left side just trying to find the fairway himself as Ed goes just deep, and that is a really good approach shot from fairway's edge. Rowdy's third. You see a lot of forehands by Matt, but if he can get the angle and gets that to sit down, he should be able to recover. Chris also with the forehand, a little bit light on that one. You just don't want to go deep past that basket because there's also another big drop off. So I could see being a little tentative. Yeah. Ooh, solid run by Taylor. He did go down the hillside just a little bit. I believe that was for triple bogey 6, so hole 5 coming out to bite Chris pretty hard here. Great putt by Taylor. Great camaraderie, the group enjoying one another's company. Even here as they're battling with 20 plus holes to go. If you don't throw a great tee shot here or find something near the fairway, walking away with a 4 is just fine. This is a really tough hole. Chris can attest to that. That might have actually been a quadruple bogey, I believe, for Chris. I'll check some math. Maybe that was a triple bogey. Either way, it was not good. Steven, I believe, is from Minnesota. Thanks for being a huge Big 12 supporter, Steven. And at 364, I think a birdie here is definitely a bonus. Mainly because you have to get the nose of the disc up just a little bit in order to be able to clear this hillside, and the hole is essentially dead straight. If you're on the tee, it's maybe at like an 11:30 position, straight off the tee. So you really need to go straight and not fade hard left. And when you right-handed backhand players know that's kind of tough to do, especially at 354 feet, or 364 even. Everyone's struggling a little bit to find the center of the fairway. And this also a tough position to be in because he still has to get over the hill. He's throwing blindly all the way down to where some of those, we'll say, tree stumps and branches were on the far left side. Ed's gonna fight out and fight back in. Taylor's approach with the forehand, not quite as effective as on the previous hole. See what Chris has from this high right side. It looks like he's got a little bit of an alleyway. Oh, faked me out. So there's Matt with really no other option other than just pitching out. He's gonna take the pro move there and just not turn potential 4 into a 5 or a 6 by going with a hero shot. So he's hoping just to get up and down and limit this to just being a bogey. I would like to see that a little more right. Rowdy's got his own version of a forehand. Looks to be pretty effective. Well, Matt's right. This might be for a 3 for Chris. Oh yeah. Not sure about the pelvis thrust, but if that helps with the par on this tough hole, I'll give it to him. Another really good putt there by Taylor. It's to say bogey, but I'd rather see a solid putt for bogey than a drop in for double. That's not a Maddenism. I don't know what is. Another bogey here on the card. Hole 6. Yeah. Four bogeys and a par on a 364-foot hole 6. Tony Boyko and Sail On Enterprises. Tony is taking care of all of my internet, domain, and hosting needs moving forward. And he's a disc golfer, so if you need any of those needs, you reach out to me and I'll get you in touch with Tony. Such a great guy. Thank you, Tony. Tony's even done a little bit of editing. He's done some graphics. He's done a little bit of everything, but just a tremendous resource all around, so, and supporter. This hole sets up great if you're right-handed, as it is a blind hyzer that plays slightly downhill, 320 feet. I don't think it plays quite that far. I love the line there by Ed. And the result, that's a park job for Ed. Ed's looking for his first birdie of the round. That also looks pretty good just inside. Eventually it sits down. Not too bad. I'm not sure how much that tree kick, or roll should I say, hurt him. That tree kick, on the other hand, not good for Taylor. That's going to give him a long one now. Chris is opting for the route between the trees. And I don't see it in the bottom of the basket, but it looked like a fun shot to throw. Taylor to save his par, and his putt has been so on. So draws a little bit of metal, but he's going to walk away with a bogey here on hole 7. And meanwhile, Matt says, well, I want to make up for the previous bogey. He gets back to 8 under par, and Matt is trying to pull away from the group at this point. Taylor's lining up what should be a bogey, and Matt's going to push him to 5 under. So Matt looking pretty good here on this lead card. Things, of course, pretty tight on the chase card, so you've got to worry about them. I believe there were a few additional 6-unders besides the 3 that were on this card. So clearly a tight battle and a good race going on. And the park job. Love it. We'll move over to the par 4, hole 8. Eric E., we appreciate the support. Big shout out to Dude Clothing. Not a coincidence that I'm actually wearing my Dude Clothing rain jacket that I received in 2015. So while I'm out filming, I have trusted myself in that blue jacket. They are very well made, and they support disc golf on many levels. So Chris, Finn, and crew from Australia, as they're customizing and making clothing just for disc golfers, thank you guys so much. Certainly encourage everyone to go out and get a set of jackets. They have now a thicker jacket and a slightly thinner one. As I'm wearing this thinner one at the moment, it's keeping me plenty warm and dry. Watching the tees on 8, this is the most exposed hole on the course probably, and it's also out with the highway directly behind it, and it's in the corner of the course where you first come in. And you can see the wind is just getting a hold of everything and ripping those discs. It seemed like no matter what the stability was, it was going to do what it wanted. And the basket is just left of that tree there, the big green, we'll call it a pine tree. Right, it might have a little trouble there. Now Ed, way down by the road, just trying to force himself back up toward the basket, and that rollout actually might have helped him a little bit. That might give him a little better angle at the pin. Himself right near the rocks. The rocks are a really good landmark and a reference point. You want to get just at them. Getting up and over the top of them onto the green is a little tough, but if you get right up against the rocks, you're usually in a pretty good position. Look to the pin. This is a par 4. Another great run there by Chris. Walk away with the 3 here in any conditions. You're going to be more than happy. I don't really think it's attackable to get down there and get a 2. I don't know what kind of miraculous shot would be required, but you're more than happy with the 3 here. Oh, Rowdy has to get a position in there. It's really tough. Not only is he stretched out, but then any momentum he has to not fall forward is just really impressive there. Don't underestimate how challenging that 15-footer was. See, Chris has the umbrella all wrapped up. So it's not raining at the moment, but it is still not pleasant. We're through 8 holes. The bogey. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate it so much. Tim and I occasionally talk about exchanging some highly sought-after discs. And I know he's quite the collector of said discs, as I can be a little bit of a hoarder myself. We're here on the shortest hole that we find, I believe, on the course, 214 feet. Taylor with a standstill, and stand and deliver. And it looks to be in putting range over a hole you just really walk up to thinking, okay, I would love to get a 2 here. It's, again, shortest hole on the course. It's a pretty fair weight to hit. You can even throw it probably 30 to 40 feet short if it's flat enough, and you could get a skip to the pin. Rowdy, aggressive. Matt, who sits at 9 under, doesn't draw medal on that one, which is quite surprising. His putter seems like it's been on so far today, so for him to not draw any medal on that is somewhat surprising. And you can see a little obstruction there by Ed. Wrist takes the birdie. That's going to push him back to 5 under par. Seems like his putting has been dialed in today as well. Here's Matt. And Matt with a little case of, I'd almost have to call it the yips. I mean, that's back-to-back putts inside 25 feet where he doesn't draw medal. And at this point, even as a cameraman and a longtime player, I'm thinking, is he going to draw medal here? This isn't a gimme, and thankfully he collects himself and hopefully puts that behind him, because that 3-putt on this very short birdie hole is not something you can have out here if you're contending for the lead. Taylor's pro tip, put it right next to the basket. Simmer down, Ed. Simmer down. Team Jenkins, that is in fact the first family of disc golf in the Jenkins family, namely Sharon, who has been such a great supporter on Patreon. What an honor to have a world champion and world champion family support my Patreon for all these years. Thank you so much, Team Jenkins. And this hole sets up a little more favorably for the lefty. You really just want to throw it dead straight. And if you have it fade out as a lefty, you're in really good position. I know earlier I talked about 364 uphill. Here you're looking at 385 downhill, and throwing it dead straight is all you're looking for. We all know throwing straight, though, is the toughest shot in disc golf. Rowdy turns his over. And Matt's coming off the bogey on the really short previous hole, but this time puts himself right in the middle of the fairway. After a solid recovery by Rowdy, it looks like Taylor has a pretty solid shot as well. Maybe a little bit more power on that. And Matt leaving the door open, and I'll just momentarily chime in and say that's a shot that at the high advanced levels and the professional levels, that inside 100 feet, if there's not an obstruction, that's a shot I just recommend everyone practices and make sure you have dialed in. You should be able to put that within 5 or 10 feet every single time. Of course, there's some wind and other challenges in general here, but go out and practice that 100 to 150 foot approach shot. You don't even want to leave yourself with this 18-foot tester.
Nice putt.
Does get up and down. It could be more like 20, 22 feet. Also a solid putt there by Taylor. Rowdy was also able to make the recovery. So we're going to see the... Oh, wow. I didn't know if he called Kobe. Sorry, I couldn't name it. I think the Timberwolves have a team. Kevin Garnett, there it is. I'm going to throw out some words. We're moving on. Doug, appreciate the support. Hole 11, this big par 4, 470 feet. You're going out of the gap, and you'd love for it to land probably, well, not there. You need to get up and over the gap. And if I had to project, I would say maybe this is at about a 10 o'clock position from where they are on the tee, maybe even a little bit more left than that. But you need to find the opening, and then you take a second shot into a little bit more of a wooded green. But getting out clean is the only priority, and it looks like all of our players are really struggling with that. And Matt has by far the longest drive in the group. Yeah, that's a big smile. He should be happy with that. Certainly some work to do here. That's gonna, yeah. Taylor, I believe, is gonna still have some, at least half the hole to go, maybe or so, as Rowdy manages to stay clear. Now, I don't wish bad on anyone, but part of me would have loved to see a big splash into that puddle. Not because I don't like Rowdy. It really was just for the effect. That's all. The only reason why I wanted to see it. So here's Taylor throwing a turnover and just dials it in. And here in the first 11 holes, I got to say that's probably my favorite and most impressive shot thus far in the early goings. Chris past the basket. Now, this light pole is a really good landmark. You'd love to be maybe inside of it, but the actual distance that Matt, no, he had such a great drive, and then to find the rock that stops him from getting onto the green, it just seems like an injustice almost. Rowdy will take that approach all day. So this is Matt for the birdie after the huge drive. And that is just all too bad because he had such a great drive. Easily should have picked up a stroke or more on the rest of the card here, but Chris went long on his approach, and he also is going to have to settle for a par. Now Matt's got a tester for par, and thankfully he walks away with it, but man, he was in such great position and then ended up having to work hard for his par. Taylor will tap in. We're through our second par 4 found on the course. Thank you, El Guapo Baskets. Chris and the crew out in the Northwest put on an amazing women's only event, do so much good for the sport. And Chris also manufactures and makes baskets. So if you want to support a smaller operation that's not quite at our large manufacturer level, you want some great looking baskets, reach out to El Guapo, tell him the disc golf guy sent you. I think maybe he'll include a big hug if you purchase after that reference. And Ed could have done without the little tick there by that tree branch, but still not bad. He's going to be almost pin high. This is just a straightforward shot. I get that it's pretty basic and there's a lot of really good holes out here at Kaposia, but this probably is one of my favorite, where it's like you have a line you have to hit. There's a little room for error, but you also have, it's just straightforward and very gettable. If you need a mid-range, if you need a fairway driver, whatever the case might be, this just is one of my favorite holes out here. And with that, as we're going to close out, I'm going to give you guys holes 1 through 14. Leave in the comments what your favorite hole is here in the front half of this coverage. And after a few days, I'm going to do what I always do, give away something. I'll grab a comment at random and go ahead and then ultimately give something away. So just leave it in the comments what's your favorite hole here in the first 14 at Kaposia, as Ed finds himself pin high, but he's going to walk away with a par. He's had quite a few today. Taylor says, I'm going to give that plenty. Man, so one moment he's jump shotting putts, now he's putting with a bag on his back. He's probably doing some editing in between holes. I don't know what Chris doesn't do. Maybe look at that one, stares it down. Matt remains at that 8 under par. He's got a little cushion over the rest of the field. At least on this card. We don't know what's happening quite yet on Chase card. But it looks like we've got a pretty solid battle going. Simmer down, Ed. Simmer down. Thank you to Sergio and Carla and the rest of the Korea family. You guys are amazing. And also congrats on your most recent addition, even supporting me when you've got more mouths to feed. Thank you guys. Hole 13, 275 feet. This does remind me a little bit of hole 6, except for it's about 100 feet shorter. You've got an uphill tee shot, but being 275, even if you have to get the nose up a little, I think you're able to drive the pin relatively easily. That's, I'm going to spoil it for you guys. That's a near perfect shot there by Taylor. Sometimes in years past, I've gone at the halfway point to kind of watch this one come around and get the throw and where it lands, but I also find it's a little congested in the center of that fairway. And I worry some players are, well, they've gotten close to killing me. So Chris with a patent pending stance is back to the hole, and just a great approach shot.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're looking for. Good speed, good angle. And Ed needed to keep that tighter. Ed's going to have a little struggle from that left side. Putt just is going to be a few feet inside where Ed is trying to save his par from. Here his attempt is. This is for birdie. bang bang. Pretty enthusiastic bang bang, I might say. Ed's going to take the birdie. Matt. That's par. And closest to the pin and the tap-in birdie is the lefty from one leg. Nice work, Taylor. Thank you, Nick H. I appreciate the support. Taylor appreciates taking the honors. He's pushed himself to 7 under and just a stroke off of Matt right now. Hole 14 is just a monster. You know, it's nearly 500 feet. It's about picking your lane. How wide do you want to go? And you can see Rowdy needed a little bit more wideness. Nobody needs more wideness, but Rowdy did on that shot. And had Chris been just a little more inside that, I think he would have been okay. It's a par 4. You need to be clean here off the tee, and then you're going to have a few different angles or tunnel shots to possibly traverse as you're trying to get up toward the basket that's above where they're throwing right now. So there's a little elevation here. By golly, if that ain't clean. We're going to start to close things out. I've got to thank, again, all the Patreon supporters I've mentioned, all the ones that you'll see in the second half. I want to thank Everyday Disc Golf, Tom and his crew. I believe we had a pair of Toms at the controls this week, along with all of the event sponsors who also, of course, are making this happen. PDGA and Innova and everyone else. So just thank you guys so much for tuning in. I think this is the 4th, maybe even the 5th year out of the last 7 or 8 that I've been here and part of the Minnesota Amateur Championships. Kaposia Park, just a beautiful old school course that still provides plenty of challenge, especially in these conditions. Matt asking for that to keep moving. I went with a bold strategy. Usually when I know it's going to be rainy or wet out, I put my Keen sandals on and just kind of own the moisture and the wetness. And that's great unless it's 50 degrees. That would not be my pro tip of the day. And Chris just wants that to sit. All right, well. Chris not able to convert after that nasty tournament roll away. Call that a tournament roll. And a birdie to close out the front half. Matt sits at 9 under par. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on the chase card and Taylor, who right now seems to be his closest challenger. Taylor just a stroke off. Oh, nope. Ah, yep. Grab it. Great concentration by Rowdy. He's going to card the birdie. He pushes back to 5 under. And Chris with the unfortunate bogey. Again, it's been a great front 9, or should I say front 14. Join us for the back half. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, Everyday Disc Golf, and all the other supporters.